Hey, what's up you guys? It's Bjorn from Triops again. I got a new video for you guys. I do also have some unfortunate news for you guys though. The first several episodes we were talking about the new Cancroform species that I was trying to hatch. They hatched well, they grew up well, but then it actually all went wrong. That's the bad news. I actually had 20 healthy specimens inside this larger hatchery, as you can compare them perfectly right now. This is the smaller, which actually was the XL hatchery, but now this is the XL hatchery or XXL hatchery. Anyhow, I was actually keeping the Cancroform species for a bit. They were doing really well until two of the specimens turned out male and were actually starting to attack the others inside the hatchery. So I decided to actually move them as soon as possible to the main tank with a little bit less of acclimating, excuse me. And some things went wrong, I guess. Eventually, cannibalism hit in as well. Corpses were getting eaten, tribes started to disappear, and then I only had like 5 left. I put them in the main tank. They lived for about 3 or 4 days. One got stuck beneath one of these rocks, so I need to adjust that angle over here as well. This is where one Triops got stuck. So yeah, they actually do dig beneath these kind of rocks, so make sure that the environment is safe for them to dig in as well. This is a mistake that I made, so that's why I'm actually trying to warn you guys for these kind of mistakes. This one is tricky as well perhaps, so I should move them a little bit more inwards as well. Back to the hatcheries though. On the left I do have a new hatchery, but this one kind of failed as well. I used quite a lot of eggs, if you can see them in the corner. Give me a second guys. There they are, a bunch of eggs in the corner. Most of the eggs did not hatch. I only had like 8 hatchlings. Only 3 of them survived, and I already lost 1 juvenile right now. So this little project is kind of failing as well. I was not completely sure what kind of species this was going to be, because I was interested in using some old school mystery files that I had back in the days, because back in the days I was actually keeping some journals, and I would make these approaches with the coding on them, which was telling how old they are. This one is from 2020, so it's 3 years old now. The fun thing is, I also had some unknown files laying around, like these ones. So I was getting interested, and I actually found another one, and I just set up this hatchery to see what would hatch, and still not completely sure what it's going to be, but there are 2 specimens left. But because I only have 2 of them, I was actually thinking about, I'm not sure what this is. I can keep them pure, I can keep a full tank with only 2 specimens in them, or I could actually hatch a mix that I already got and see what is going to hatch out. And eventually, if some of them are interesting, or they show interesting colors, maybe they show interesting features, I will actually select them back into a hatchery so that they will lay some separately laid eggs inside the hatchery. And then I want to isolate these eggs of like 1 or 2 specific specimens that are like outstanding from the mix. That's what I'm going to do next. It's just a little tiny project, and because some people were actually asking like, do you still have that strain from the Great White? It was like a really special Triops that I was keeping back in the days. It was an Australiensis type breed, and it was actually, I was calling it Australiensis silver because it had like a really nice metallic silver head shield and coloring. It was a really fast growing Triops, and it was really an incredible type of Triops because it was also getting really big, like this big. And that was quite interesting. So I was like, let's search the journal and try to find like an estimate in which Triops mix this Great White occurred. And I actually found and traced back some information, and I found out that this file should be doing it. And as the sticker claims, it does have AUS Australiensis S silver, but also perhaps some Australiensis aurum, which is the golden edition that I bred before as well, from selecting on a specific specimen, like isolating one incredible looking specimen, taking these eggs and just continue on with only that line of eggs. The next line is like full identical clones of the first one that you will be selecting. So then you can get like yourself like a little tiny colony, which will be like 10 or 20 siblings. They are sometimes hermaphrodite, so they will be producing clones of themselves. And the thing is, it's going to be interesting if you can get like a really nice lineage that has some particular features in Triops as well. So we can get like different type of Triops and colorations as well. Thing is, I'm going to use this approach. I'm going to dunk in at least, let's say, 200 eggs because I want a larger colony this time. I can't do it with only, I can't just keep like a large tank with only 2 Triops inside them. They will only lay up to 60 eggs a day, which isn't that much. And I actually got like a way larger tank this time, and I want to kick this tank off with like a larger colony for you guys to see, so we can also feed some interesting larger types of food as well. I was planning on feeding them krill, which are tiny shrimps from marine shrimps, something like that. And I was like wondering what that would do to them if they get like something with proteins and stuff that's like coming from shrimp instead of like insect based foods. So that's something else I want to test, and but for that I want a larger colony as well. So we're just going to check out if we can spot at least one of the specimens that survived the hatching part and some way into the juvenile stage. So this is one of the 2 that survived, and interested in what these guys are. This is a mystery vial, like I said before, and this is going to be a mystery hatching as well, because these eggs came from a tank that had 4 different species in them at some point. So the eggs actually get like mixed up completely random. I will be using a selection of like 200 to 300 eggs, which are completely random. So we would see some black-tail longicaudatus. We could see some albino longicaudatus, Australiensis silver and Australiensis aurum perhaps. I hope on the last 2, a little bit more of specimens on the last 2, but it's going to be interesting, and we're going to try to select a specimen that's going to be interesting back from this species into the hatchery with a bunch of sand in it. Keep the specimen inside the hatchery for, let's say, 5 days maximum, I guess, and we will have a bunch of isolated eggs from that specimen inside this large XL hatchery. This is almost 1.5 liters, maybe 2 even, so it should be enough for 1 adult Triops to at least lay some eggs in, because I actually had a fully adult Cankerformus Triops inside this hatchery for a bit, which was called Frosty, because she was having like a specific outdoor rainwater tank parameters, and the other tank I was having was based on tap water, so that would be an issue for her to acclimate to such a hard change on the long run, because she was quite old already, and I really wanted to isolate her eggs because she survived 4 degrees Celsius as a temperature, which was really interesting to me. That's nearing the freezing point, so that's interesting. I still have her eggs separate. I will show you guys. So this is the collection box. These are Frosty's eggs. So I got quite a large bag of the hatchery that she was in, and there are quite a ton of eggs in that sand. So that's interesting for the future as well, to hatch out a nice lineage of Frosty again. But we're going to get back to the tank again and dunk in some eggs from the approach number 25. Be right back, guys. So we're back at the tank, and here's the new approach. that I was talking about. It's from 2020, which is going to be interesting. So these eggs are 3 years old, and I'm interested in how many of them will hatch. I'm not going to use like 20 eggs and hope all of them will hatch. I'm just going in with a ton of eggs just to make sure there are enough Nauplii survivors, and there need to be several chances that some different species will be present as well. If I only use 10 eggs, perhaps we will only see the albino Longicaudatus. So I'm using a little bit more eggs to get a little bit more chances that we actually see more of the different types of Triops from this approach, which we can select from. That's going to be interesting, guys. I'm excited. So let's dunk in some eggs and I'll be back. Give me a second. So the initial egg ring appeared to be a little bit too small, but there is also a lot of debris inside this mixture, so there are definitely a lot of eggs, but that's exactly what I wanted. But there's also a lot of debris from the approach inside the ring as well, so that's basically the reason why it did not all of it didn't fit perfectly well into the hatchery, but it's fine. It will be okay. I guess most of the eggs are inside the ring, so I guess the best chances is that most of them will hatch with the green ring as well. It will be fine. But now it's yeah, the same like every time. That will be just a tiny bit of a waiting game now, guys. We will have to wait until the next Nauplii are here. So that's basically going to be it, guys. We got a mystery approach cooking, and let's see what we will bake in the next several weeks. I hope you guys are interested, and I hope to see you guys next time. If you didn't subscribe already, feel free to do so. If you're interested in a new project that I just introduced you guys with, feel free to drop a comment, and maybe you are maybe you could drop which species you would like to see coming from the hatchery. Your choices would be Longicaudatus blacktails, which is a kind of questionable species. They are different than regular Longicaudatus, but questionable name. Doesn't matter though, that's how I bought them back in the days. Albino Longicaudatus australiensis silver, which is a lineage of the great white species that I was breeding, and I got some chances that there are australiensis aurum inside these hatchery. So, what's your favorite? Feel free to drop it in the comments, and for now, I hope to see you guys next time.